Next on the track, the 1500-meter final for the men.
Yep, so we'll keep an eye on those final two efforts in the shots. In the meantime, as you say, 3 3/4 laps of the track for these men. There's 16 men now sub 3:30 in European history, of course, behind Jakob Ingebrigtsen's European record, and there's some recent improvers this year: Azadine Habs, George Mills, Stefan Nielsen, Isaac Nader, and we've seen some recent improvers in this field as well. They include Ruben Verheiden of Belgium, who we'll see in a moment. This is Håkon Moerberg, the Norwegian, finest of the world under-20s in Lima in Peru. What an opportunity that is. The world under-20s throws up some really unpredictable results. Some stars of the future, and others for whom it's the kind of best ever achievement and something they hold very dear. There's the Estonian Denis Salkauskas, improved to 3:45 this year. Obviously just the one race for the 1500 athletes. There is Verheiden then, so 3:30.99 for him. Personal best had been 3:33.40 from Rome, the Europeans, until this year. Of course, he was 4th in Rome. Zan Rudolph of Slovenia, 2 times Balkan 800-meter champion. Before him we saw Shane Bracken, the Irishman, a personal best in Nerja in southern Spain of 3:35.96. So really interesting race. Verheiden coming in as the favourite, but we know that a middle distance race like this, no pacemaker, championship conditions, could prove to be a little bit unpredictable, and Verheiden will have to find himself some space. He'll have to show that he's got a bit of a mature head around some athletes that want to make a name for themselves, some young athletes that want to impress, others that might be thinking about qualifying standards for other competitions. Well, Verheiden, he did compete at the European Indoor Championships. It was a bit of a messy race, as we saw, with a very tight track, as it always is indoors, but particularly so in Apeldoorn. 7th in that race. Of course, it was also quite scrappy in Rome last year. He was battling behind Ingebrigtsen. He had his teammate Joachim Vermeulen ultimately out-sprinting him, but Verheiden, as the favourite, Ellen, making an impressive start, given that he's got himself into a very solid position.
He has indeed. I've just been reading up about what the Belgian captain has been saying about their targets going into this weekend, and they said they don't want to think about the points, they don't want to think about possibilities, they just want to do their best as individual athletes. And I think probably towards the end of maybe today, maybe the end of tomorrow, they'll start to think about that unit. But it's Belgium and Verheiden sitting comfortably at the front, moving along as one big pack. Bracken of Ireland still in 4th. Need to find some points, need to pick up some points. Estonia have work to do. They've dropped some significant points as well in both the pole vault and the 100 metres, where they would have expected to do better. Missed out on opportunities.
So Verheiden leading. You can see Shane Bracken of Ireland in the green, also in a good spot there. Saliauskas, I mentioned the Estonian, is there. And you've also got Nino Jambrasic. Hadn't mentioned the Croatian. He's 21 years of age. Recent improvement on home soil in Karlovac this month, the 3:40.53. This is a decent pace, though. 2:05 for 800 metres. Verheiden, maybe a slightly reluctant leader, but in any case, I think he would understand that it was perfectly possible he might find himself at the front, with others following his tracks and hoping to hold on for as long as possible. I mean, Bredlinger to some extent was in a similar position. She had Horvath right on her tail, but there's that crucial move, of course, made late in the race, and then all she had to do really was find that speed endurance towards the end, making it a faster race. Obviously, yes, Horvath had a fast kick, but it was sort of taken out of her towards the end, slightly neutralised there. So we've got a pack of 4 breaking array around 2:49. Then they hit the bell. Verheiden still out front. Bracken is still there. Jambrasic of Croatia also. So 10 seconds nearly separating the best of first and second, but as we see in these sorts of races, always have to wait and find out how it unfolds. The young Norwegian then, Håkon Maribor, 3:35 this year at Oslo Diamond League. What an opportunity that was for him to make a name for himself and rubber stamp his selection for this kind of team in the absence of the Ingebrigtsen brothers. So for Hayden from Bracken and then Berg, all fighting then for Hayden. Surely he's going to have enough here. Or is he going to be under pressure from Berg, the Norwegian teenager here? Certainly a name to remember. And he's got someone great to learn off. But for Hayden, does come through very strongly in the end. 3:42.60. He had to work pretty hard all the way round those 3 3/4 laps. But ultimately he got himself in position early, and that proved crucial. And then it was over to the rest to see, hey, what can you do? You're behind me now. Try and get past the tall Belgian in the white vest. They couldn't. In the end, he comes through for maximum points. 3:42.58 on the clock.
Yeah, really showing that race experience that he's gained over particularly the last 12 months. Plenty of pushing and shoving, as we've come to expect. In these bigger fields, 16 men going in this 1500 metres. He found his way to the front and held it so well with Shane Bracken pushing him towards the end. Shame to see the young Croatian Amblasic drop back. He does already have the qualifying time for the under-23 championships this year. Couldn't quite hold on, and just falling back as those behind him rallied. Including Celik of Turkey. Some more important points on the board for Turkey. Norway, that consistency just continuing with Håkon Maribor. Still a very young man, but that was a complete and confident performance. Just couldn't quite get over the line for the 16 points in the end, but it's 15 that will go a long way for Norway. In a race that just really encapsulates what we're looking at in terms of the table at the moment, with Belgium and Norway going head to head.
Well, that's an impressive personal best from Salauskas. Just having a look at what we haven't already described a little further down. 3:44, so that's a second off. And in a race where you wouldn't normally expect to see personal best, I think that's quite strong for Estonia.
Hello, I'm Leonardo Fabri, and you must subscribe to the European Athletics channel, because otherwise I'm gonna fight you.